Hello, Tess. This is Power. Okay.
Power, I read you 5-9.
JPL, do you copy?
I copy you, but you're scratching EDL.
Now approximately halfway through the activity to clean up the residual wobble from venting of the coolant.
Flight ACS.
Go ACS.
We have telemetry indicating that we were sent back to standby as preparation for the HRS venting.
Copy that. Power, any updates in status?
Everything's basically still nominal. The lander battery current did go down to 0. The cruise solar array still at 2.8 amps.
Copy that. Any explanations that you can come up with?
That's a negative at this point.
Okay, Power. Could you work on that, please?
That's affirmative.
Radio's fine.
Thermal, this is Flight.
Go ahead, Flight.
Any updates in status?
Yes, this was the first packet about 1 minute after supposed HRS venting. We have dropped in HRS pressure from 42 psi to 38 psi, so it looks like we caught in the midst of venting here.
Mission, this is Flight.
Go back to mission. This right now is battery voltage is still 0.45. Yeah. It's been moving around.
Flight mission.
Mission, this is Flight. ACS is reporting dropping down to standby, which is consistent with the pre-separation scum transition. Power is indicating a telemetry value for lander battery current of 0 current, which is unexpected. Bus voltage is still nominal at 30.7 volts, and the battery voltages are at 32.7 volts.
What's the one that's
Earlier you heard thermal engineer Glenn Sayuki report that the telemetry indicates that we are in the middle of HRS venting. Although the timeline indicates HRS venting has indeed been completed, often the data transmitted from Opportunity back to the control screens in front of the flight controllers do not update instantaneously. As a result, they often are looking at things several minutes in the past.
0.45 total.
What about the other analog?
Flight mission. You're still scratchy, mission.
These are the only channels.
Meantime, we are just less than 10 minutes away from cruise stage separation, which is a major event just prior, about 15 minutes prior to entry, descent, and landing. With me now is Chris Jones. He is the director of all planetary flight projects here at the Jet Propulsion Lab. He's going to be in the jump seat for the rest of the commentary tonight and walking through the different steps of EDL as we go through them. Chris, just briefly, just kind of bring us up to speed. What can we expect tonight? Will we get signals? You know, will we get tones all the way down?
Well, you remember back 3 weeks ago, we were talking about this relative to Spirit, and we were sort of keeping the expectations low, and in fact, it was going to be problematic. We thought there were 50-50 chances during portions of EDL where we might not hear anything. as it turned out, everything broke our way, and we had effectively continuous tones all the way to the bottom. Today, for Opportunity, the telecom performance is anticipated to be less than it was for Spirit. And so if things don't break our way, then it is likely that we will have outages, and we may miss some of the tones that we were so lucky to get when Spirit landed 3 weeks ago.
So Chris Jones and I will be standing by. We are going to go ahead and pretty much let Mission Control take over from this point on. We'll be listening in and listening to commentary from Wayne Lee. We're pretty much staying pretty silent and letting the events unfold. Back to Mission Control.
Just over 6 amps, about where we would expect. Unless there's been one bad reading.
Copy that. Thermal, this is Flight. Any comments on telemetry?
Yes, we can positively confirm HRS venting. The PDT IPA is now at 4 psia.
Copy that. We are just under 5 minutes from completion of HRS vent attitude cleanup. ACS, this is Flight.
Go ahead, Flight.
Can you give us a status on the attitude from the IMUs, please?
The IMUs are now reporting that we are 1.8 degrees off of our desired turn to entry attitude, indicating that the HRS venting has added about that much to our pointing error.
Copy that. And ACS state?
We're currently in spin rate init.
Copy that. Thank you very much. Mission, this is Flight.
Go, Flight. This is Mission.
ACS is reporting that we did see a small delta from the HRS vent, and ACS is in the process of initializing to correct that. Pointing offset power has resolved the anomaly. It does look like it has just dropped out in telemetry, and power system looks nominal. Thermal is reporting HRS pressure has dropped down to just about 4 psi, indicating that we have successfully fired the HRS vent pyro, indicating that we have good power system.
Thank you, Flight.
The power anomaly that you heard Jason Willis referring to was that momentarily telemetry
Thermal.
indicated that.
Go Thermal.
We can also verify that the 0-degree heater on the RBAW has activated.
Copy that. Thank you.
There was some telemetry earlier indicating that there was zero current being drawn from the lander battery, which is not correct. However, that was just due to a telemetry dropout. At this time, the data being sent back from Opportunity indicates that the current draw from the lander battery is as expected. Right now, we are 5 minutes from cruise stage jettison, 19 minutes, 57 seconds from entry into the Martian atmosphere. The vehicle is currently at an altitude of 2,183 miles, moving at a velocity of 9,496
All stations, we are 4 minutes from
miles per hour.
MFK tone.
Actually, don't feel like taking a break in the Spirit. I mean, it's just the current situation.
Well, he was looking at it like you would have had seven days or Iron.
No, but the thing is,
That was originally in 20.
Approximately 3 minutes from now, the Opportunity lander will be setting back what's known as a calibration tone. These tones are simple electronic beeps transmitted back to Earth, indicating the status of the spacecraft. This will be the method in which we use to keep track of activities on the spacecraft during entry, descent, and landing. This calibration tone is a simple tone that's easy to pick up here in the Mission Control Center, and being sent prior to entry will allow us to calibrate the system and verify that the tone system is indeed operating properly.
We are 90 seconds from the completion of HRS vent attitude cleanup.
And a few minutes ago, the thermal subsystem also reported that the pressure in the coolant lines has dropped to the right number, approximately 3 psi, indicating that all the Freon has been vented into space successfully.
All stations, mission manager, I think we ought to thank the Visters for the good luck peanuts that we're eating at this moment.
Looking at all the people eating in the Mission Control Center, they have opened up their good luck peanuts courtesy of the Bister family. Leo Bister was the crew's flight director for the Opportunity Rover. Good luck peanuts are a tradition at JPL. They're eaten at or around critical events as a token of good luck.
90 seconds to MFSK tones.
Now 2 minutes from jettisoning the crew stage.
Flight ACS.
Go ACS.
We have data showing that we're now in sunline rate control, and our pointing error is 0.79 degrees.
Copy that, thank you.
Again, 0.79 degrees is a very good number, as the spacecraft can be up to 10 degrees of attitude error and still fly through the Martian atmosphere successfully.
Fine. 30 seconds to tone. One minute to cruise state separation.
Director, I think you can see the first tone.
Copy that. 30 seconds to cruise state separation.
The calibration.
Copy that.
The calibration tone has now been received in the Mission Control Center. We are just under 20 seconds to cruise stage jettison. When the cruise stage is jettisoned, the signal will be lost momentarily as the spacecraft switches antennas from the cruise stage to one that is on the lander.
Jettison in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark.
Flight nav.
Copy.
Radio science confirms LOS. Flight.
Flight nav.
Go nav.
Nav sees a short data gap and a shift in the one-way Doppler, which is indicative of cruise stage separation.
Copy that.
Navigation reporting the crew stage has been jettisoned properly. The crew stage is pushed away using separation springs.
ACS, prop, mission. Thank you guys. It was a long ride, and you're done. Have a seat.
Flight avionics.
Go avionics.
On behalf of the entire STEM avionics team, I'd like to thank you for flying with us, and I hope you had a pleasant journey.
Thanks, avionics. All stations, this is flight. We're going to go ahead and do the pre-entry poll at 4:50 UTC. So please go through the final checklist and review the final telemetry from the spacecraft just prior to cruise state separation, please.
The crew stage is pushed away from the entry vehicle using separation springs at a rate of approximately 35 centimeters per second. By the time we hit the top of the Martian atmosphere, the cruise stage will have drifted to a position approximately a kilometer behind Opportunity. It will continue to follow Opportunity into the atmosphere, and the cruise stage will then burn up because it is not protected with the thermal protection system. Now just under 13 minutes until entry into the Martian atmosphere. We are currently at an altitude of 1,264 miles, moving at a velocity of 10,329 miles per hour. We are currently approximately 2,100 miles away from Meridiani Plains. Telecom subsystem reported that the signal that was expected to go away once the cruise stage was jettisoned was immediately reacquired by the Deep Space Network. We are currently in lock and tracking the Opportunity entry vehicle.
Flight EDL, any copy?
I copy 5x5 EDL.
Receiving getting Excel 1 tones.
Copy that, Excel 1 tone.
The Excel 1 tone is a tone indicating that the vehicle is not yet decelerating. This is indeed the proper result as we have not yet entered the Martian atmosphere. 11 minutes until entry into the Martian atmosphere.
Flight,
Go EDL com.
we have Excel 1 tone. We've had that for 70s for over a minute, just in case you hadn't noticed.
Copy that, thank you. Awesome.
Momentarily, Flight Director Jason Willis will poll the flight controllers to determine that the Opportunity lander is go for entry, descent, and landing.
Go for landing. We just fire the rocket.
Okay, at this point in time. Okay, at this time we're going to go ahead and do the pre-entry poll to assess spacecraft readiness for EDL. ACS.
The last telemetry we have indicates that we're in sunline rate control and in transition and cleaning up the nutation and our pointing error, and we were left with about 0.34 degrees nutation, and our IME performance was okay.
Copy that, thank you. Thermal.
Flight REM and EDL hardware are within expected limits, experiencing a small rise in REM temperatures due to the HRS venting. Gas generator at minus 16, right in the sweet spot for firing. Airbag at minus 33 degrees C, again right in the sweet spot. IPA pressure at 3 psi.
Thank you very much. Power, please.
Roger. Power bus voltage is at 31.6. That's very good. The lander battery current is at 5.27 amps, which is nominal. Solar array current, which on our last reading here was 2.97, and our cruise current was 1.11, and the whole system is nominal right now.
Copy that. All protection?
No new monitors, no new EVRs.
Copy that. Flight software?
Flight software is nominal.
Systems?
Tone Q was empty at the last time of the last UH update. Looking good.
Copy that. Ace, status, please.
Roger, Flight 14 and 43 have both their prime and secondary carriers in lock.
Copy that. Telecom, status?
Station 14 and 43 now have their bandwidths at 10 and 15 hertz, and at least some of the 34-meter stations have their bandwidths at 7 hertz as planned. We got about half a dB increase at cruise stage separation going to the back shell load-in antenna.
Copy that. Thank you. EDL-COM.
EDL-COM, we can report that we got CalSem 1, CalSem 2. We got 10 seconds worth of cruise stage separation tone, and we are now 250 seconds worth of Excel 1. In the frequency domain, we can see that the OXOS has been warming up. It has risen about 300 hertz, and as it rises beyond a certain temperature, the OXOS frequency starts to decrease, and we are already noticing that. If we look at sky temperature, we can see on the sky temperature plot that we're coming in still far away from entry.
Copy that. Thank you, EDL-COM. LMAAs, this is Murph Flight.
This is LMAAs. Goldstone and Canberra have a solid lock on the MGS downlink, and we continue to receive real-time health and status and PDS telemetry. MGS is ready to begin recording the EDL data on the SSR-2A. Spacecraft health remains green. MGS is ready for EDL.
Copy that. MGS Mach, status, please.
Mach instrument telemetry continues to be nominal. The global image has started acquiring as expected, and Mach is ready to receive data.
Copy that. Nav, status.
Yes, NAV is receiving one-way Doppler on the X-aardvarks through DSS 14 and 43. All X-aardvarks are configured for EDL event detection. NAV is go for EDL.
Copy that. Mission is flight.
Go flight.
Spacecraft is all subsystems report. Spacecraft is ready for EDL. Goldstone and Canberra are locked on. EDAs are running and recording and receiving tone. MGS is ready to support UHF link.
Green board.
Copy that.
And good evening from the flight deck of the Opportunity. At this time, we are approximately 5 minutes 53 seconds. 5 minutes 53 seconds from landing at the Meridiani Plains near the equator of Mars. Tonight, we'll be flying into our landing site on a path slightly north of east at a heading of about 85 degrees. Our current speed is 11,402 miles per hour, which is fast enough to traverse a distance equal to the continental United States in less than 12 minutes. About 15 minutes ago, if you had been on the spacecraft, you would have been treated to a spectacular view from the port side window as Opportunity flew by Olympus Mons, the tallest volcano in the solar system. And about 5 minutes ago, we flew right over Valles Marineris, the so-called Grand Canyon of Mars. The weather today at the landing site is expected to be fairly mild, with temperatures averaging about minus 15 degrees C, and there is no chance of rain today. We are expecting 8 knots of crosswind at the time of landing, blowing toward the east with potential for gusts up to 30 knots. And if Mars had an Earth-like calendar, today would be February 28th. Local time at Meridiani is approximately 1:10 p.m. Now would be a good time to set your watches if you plan on exploring Mars. Finally, tonight the men and women of the Entry Descent Landing Team will be ending their participation on the project after a long 3 years. We'd like to wish the scientists bon voyage and good luck finding the hematite. Have a great mission. At this time, we'd like you to invite you to sit back and enjoy the landing. It's going to be an e-ticket ride. We are now 4 minutes, 36 seconds from entry into the Martian atmosphere. Current altitude is 382 miles. We are currently moving at a velocity of 11,592 miles per hour. We are currently 1,250 miles from Meridiani.
All stations, this is flight. If you haven't been listening to EDL commentary, I would suggest you go ahead and punch it up. Also, EDL COM, MGS Mach, you have an open mic on MER A Ops. Please inform of any status changes.
Four minutes.
Flight MGS Mach, come again.
MGS Mach, feel free to report any status changes over the MER A Ops net as required.
Copy that, MER A Ops.
MER B Ops, please.
Copy that. I thought I heard something, somebody asking if we're on MER A Ops.
Sorry about that, MJ.
Okay, I understand. We'll be reporting on MER B Ops as expected.
Three minutes ago, vehicle altitude 258 miles. When we hit the top of the Martian atmosphere, we will be at an altitude of approximately 80 miles. Minutes ago, vehicle altitude 186 miles, currently moving at a velocity of 11,976 miles per hour.
Okay, you're on the net.
Seconds, 157 miles.
It's because the gravity dilutes time.
1 minute ago, 128 miles. Vehicle is now moving at 12,071 miles per hour. Currently 653 miles from Meridiani. Seconds, altitude 102 miles.
Flight MDS Mach. We have indications from Mach telemetry that the start of the MR collection has begun.
Copy that. Atmospheric entry, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark.
The vehicle has now hit the top of the Martian atmosphere. However, the velocity will continue to increase for the next minute as the thickness of the atmosphere at this height is not sufficient to slow the vehicle's fall. We are now at an altitude of 73 miles, moving at a speed of 12,187 miles per hour. Downrange distance to landing site is 441 miles. 20 seconds after entry. Entry plus 30, altitude 60 miles.
Flight nav.
Go down.
The Doppler indicates that atmospheric deceleration is occurring.
Copy that.
Navigation reporting that the vehicle is beginning to slow down. We should be slowing down at a rate of 0.1 Earth Gs. We are now approximately 55 seconds after entry into the atmosphere. Vehicle is at an altitude of 44 miles and will now begin to slow as it drops lower and into the thicker parts of the atmosphere. Current velocity is 12,193 miles per hour. This is 28.4 times the speed of sound. Downrange distance to the landing site is 265 miles. Over the next minute, we should begin to receive electronic tones from the spacecraft indicating that the inertial measurement units have begun to indicate a gradual deceleration. Vehicle deceleration now should be 1.2 Gs. Altitude is 33.4 miles. Vehicle deceleration should now be 2.9, 3.0 Gs.
Right, we're getting XL2 tones.
XL2 tone reported indicating the vehicle was accelerating at 1 G when the tone was generated. now should be decelerated rate of 5.1 Gs, altitude 25
Flight, we
miles.
get Excel 3.
Excel 3 indicating deceleration was 2 Gs when it was reported. We are now reaching the
Flight,
point
we get Excel 4.
We are now at the point of maximum deceleration. Deceleration should be approximately 6.4 Gs, current altitude 21.2 miles, moving at a velocity of 7,900 miles per hour, 100
Flight,
miles.
we're starting to get Excel 6 tones. Starting to slow down.
Now decelerating at 5.5 Gs.
We're getting Excel 7 tone.
Excel 7 tone indicating spacecraft was decelerating between 6 and 7 Gs when the
Starting to slow down. We're back. Acceleration and peak has passed. We are now Excel 6.
currently 16 miles in altitude, 4,469 miles per hour. Our current speed is Mach 8.5. Now decelerating to 6.5 Gs, which means the parachute deploy logic should become active momentarily.
Excel 5 tones.
Vehicle deceleration should be 2.5 Gs at this time.
Excel 4 tones.
Vehicle is still reporting via tones that it is slowing down. Current altitude is 12.7 miles, 30 miles in 12 miles in altitude, 27 miles from the landing site. We expect parachute deployment in approximately 50 seconds from now. We are decelerating at a rate of 1.8 Gs. Current Mach number is 4.1.
Excel 3 tones.
At this time, the onboard computer is busy looking at the vehicle's rate of deceleration to determine the proper time to deploy the parachute.
Excel 2 tones.
This will occur about 31 seconds from now once the vehicle is slowed to 1.8 times the speed of sound. Also at this time, the vehicle's rate of wobbling will gradually increase. This is a natural consequence of passing through the atmosphere at low supersonic speeds. Expected parachute deployment in approximately 18 seconds, currently at an altitude of 39,000 feet, moving at a velocity of 1,219 miles per hour. Our Mach number is 2.2. Our deceleration rate is 0.9 Gs. Parachute deploy on my mark, expected parachute deploy, that is, mark. This time the parachute should have deployed. We are waiting confirmation that has occurred. At this time, the vehicle should be going subsonic. Current altitude, 25,000 feet.
Excel 1 tone.
The heat shield should be.
Parachute deploy has been detected.
We have positive indication of parachute deploy.
Parachute deploy event semaphore has been detected.
Currently at an altitude of 18,000 feet. At this time, the radar should be active. We expect that the radar will lock up onto the ground.
Heat shield separation, Excel detected.
We have confirmation from the spacecraft that the flight software has attempted to jettison the heat shield. That is expected. Current altitude 15,000 feet. Current velocity 185 miles per hour.
The lander separation event has been detected.
The radar should lock on the ground in approximately 15 seconds from now. Current altitude 11,000 feet. Current velocity 180 miles per hour. Currently decelerating at 0.4 Gs. Current altitude 9,352 feet. Velocity 175 miles per hour. At this time, we are passing 8,000 feet in altitude. We expect the radar should have locked up onto the ground by now. We expect that the airbags will inflate approximately 20 seconds from now. Current altitude 5,000 feet, 168 miles per hour. 4,000 feet.
Radar solution matrix 21.
3,000 feet. The radar has a positive lock on the ground. We have a retro rocket firing solution. Retro rocket ignition on my mark. At this time, the retro rocket
has fired.
We have confirmation that the retro rockets have ignited. We are now awaiting confirmation of positive signals bouncing on the ground. At this time, we are 5 minutes, 55 seconds after entry. We should be bouncing on the ground.
We're getting a bounce signal. We're getting a bounce signal. We're getting a bounce signal.
Getting confirmation the spacecraft is bouncing and alive on the surface of Mars. However, this bouncing will take place for another 10 minutes.
Signal has stopped. Hold on.
We have a momentary loss of signal as the spacecraft is bouncing on the surface. It is difficult to maintain lock. We need to reacquire the signal to have positive confirmation of a safe landing. As the spacecraft is bouncing on the surface of Mars and rolling around, the antenna is pointed in many different orientations.
We're seeing it on the LCP. Very strong on LCP. on our LCP?
We have a very strong signal in the left-hand polarization channel, indicating that
Still there.
we still have a safe
We're getting a signal on RCP as well.
We are
Both channels. We're on Mars, everybody.
We still continue to receive strong LCP signal for left-hand polarization.
Still getting a strong signal from RCP.
We are getting strong signals for left-hand and right-hand polarization. The airbag should bounce and roll for approximately another 8.5 minutes. Signal continues to be strong.
It's still there. Space settle.
Signal strength continues to be very high.
Still getting a strict signal.
Flight Ace. Go flight.
Lander is still alive.
14 reports carrier lock at 050711.
Copy that. We have DVRs and logs. Station calling flight.
Mission, I'd like to thank you for the ride. You did a great job. I'd like the status shortly.
One up. MGS Mach, this is flight on Murphy Ops. Can you give me status, please?
Signal strength still continues to be very good. We expect that the
Should be within a few minutes here. I will give you an update as soon as we have it.
Copy that. Thank you. All stations, this is flight. Please switch your DMDs over to broadcast channel 4. MDOT, can you confirm that the MGS telemetry will come over broadcast 4?
Flight Telecom.
Yeah, this is MDOT. That's a confirmation that MGS telemetry will be on Murphy TIS 4.
Copy that. Thank you. UHF Telecom?
Yeah, flight Stanford did not get any UHF signal this time around. So they're continuing to look, and they're going to scan around and see maybe they're off frequency a little bit, but so far nothing.
Okay.
Flight MGS Mach, we can confirm that we are about 2 minutes past the time where we could have seen evidence and where we did see evidence for UHF with Spirit. So we are probably dropping locks. If we had it after landing, we probably dropped it at least for a period of time. We are waiting for evidence of UHF data coming down our link.
Copy that.
We're seeing the signal on the RCP drop, but it's rising on the LCP.
Surprise, surprise,
4 dB on the LCP. So we may be pointed away from Earth again.
Flight MGS Mach.
Copy that, EDO. Go MGS Mach.
We are seeing evidence of a second fragment filling. That means 2.5 minutes of communications from the lander after landing. Minimum of 2.5 minutes of communications after landing. We'll wait for the data to come down. It will be a few minutes, and we'll give you an update.
We're flight. We're rolling on Mars. We're rolling. You can see the signal going up, and this is a slow roller.
And flight aids 14 is required carrier.
Copy that.
Lots of happy faces here in Mission Control. There you see the Governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger, followed by Adam Schiff, California Congressman for this area of Pasadena and Glendale.
Flight 43 is required carrier.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is coming up next to former Vice President Al Gore and gets a broom from Wayne Lee. Wayne is giving the governor a tour and introducing him to Rob Manning, the EDL chief, and Polly Estabrook. Plenty of congratulations here and smiling faces. Who would have thunk it? We did it twice. The governor is asking questions. Rob's showing them how the lander probably rolled, giving him the background on the signals and tones, I'm sure.
Okay, gotta go.
So the governor is getting a lesson on EDL. And there you see NASA Administrator Sean O'Keefe with Dr. Nadiri here at JPL. Behind him is David Baltimore, Dr. David Baltimore from Caltech, and Jason Willens, the flight director. Jim Erickson, he is the mission manager for Opportunity. There's Steve Squires, the principal investigator, the man behind the Athena payload. And there you saw Wayne Lee with Representatives John Culbertson and Adam Schiff.
We still see evidence that the spacecraft is rolling on the surface of Mars. We still see some residual bouncing and rolling. This is not unexpected, as Meridiani planes are very flat.
Flight, we're still rolling very slowly from one angle to another angle.
There, once again, to the right of your screen, you see former Vice President Al Gore, next to Congressman Culbertson and Wayne Lee, and in the foreground, Rob Manning. Associate Administrator of Space Sciences, Ed Weiler, shaking hands with the governor and standing with Sean O'Keefe, NASA Administrator, and speaking with Steve Squires, the principal investigator of the payload.
Flight, we're still rolling on Mars.
Flight MGS Mark, we are seeing evidence of the data downlinked at this point in time. We should have some on the ground in about 5 minutes.
MGS Mach. This is Flight. I was off net for a moment. Could you repeat the last?
Certainly. We have evidence of downlink in progress. We should have data on the ground in about 5 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Flight, this is...
Station calling flight.
Flight, I think we just stopped rolling.
Copy that. Do we still have signal, EDL?
Take that back. We're still moving.
Okay.
Do we care about the data anymore?
CDL flight mission.
People start migrating. I'm going to go back in there.
I don't think it's
This is your second notice.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, because that's going to get me a shot.
Flight, I don't think we can really say what's going on, other than the fact that the signal is going up and down by about very close to 10 dB, which is not likely to be multipath or anything else. It could very well just be a very slow roll or tipping very slowly, but it is a very low frequency motion.
Copy that, EDL.
Just got our first...
Flight, did you hear that? First tone, 5 kilohertz tone is here with a latency of 20 seconds.
Copy that. We're seeing bass pedal down tones from the RPLGA, is that correct?
Oh, we're seeing 5 kilohertz from the RPLG.
That means 50 or 60 degrees. Take a picture with hand? Yeah, let's do that.
Copy, you're doing great, Kemper.
We have received for the last 5 minutes or so, the vehicle has been in motion on the surface of Mars. This is evident in that the signal strength has been increasing and decreasing at a periodic rate. Whether the vehicle is slowly rolling on the surface of Mars or teetering on an edge of the lander right now is unknown, but it is not inconceivable that it could be rolling for a long time because
Meridiani Plains is a very flat place on Mars. Another explanation is that the vehicle could be teetering on an edge.
We're getting a big cell tone, number 3.
Copy that. MDOT, this is flight.
Wind 3 Gs.
Go flight, this is MDOT.
When you see the MGS data, could you please give me a warning?
We certainly will.
We are receiving simple tones from the surface of Mars indicating that the vehicle landed with a impact force of between 2 and 3 Gs.
Flight, we have no fault tones.
The no-fault tone is an indication that no errors occurred during the bouncing and rollout sequence, that the flight software performed as expected, and that the spacecraft should be in good condition.
Okay, plus Y pedal down.
Plus Y pedal. Plus Y pedal down is reported.
Okay, man. Sounds good.
We have received a tone from the Opportunity Rover indicating that we landed plus Y pedal down. That is one of the side pedals as opposed to the base.
The signal is still moving up and down, and I'm having a hard time believing we're still rolling, quite frankly. Just to remind you, there are no hills where we landed. MSSK, no event to report. Tone. Apparently it's bored. And I think I won the bet about bass pedal down stuff.
Gentlemen's Just the knowledge. The usual way we do this. He bets money until it's time to pay off, and then suddenly it's wrong. Usually it does. And what the money? He gave it to me. I saw it in front of Tracy later.
That's right.
Okay, keep the noise.
Oh, that was my camera. Is yours? No. Do I not?
Now, approximately 20 minutes after touchdown, we still continue to receive strong signal from the spacecraft.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, record it.
Roger.
Slide MGS Mach.
Go MGS Mach.
We have received the data and processed it. We are ready to put it on the DOM. We'll go ahead and do that.
Copy that. Thank you very much. We are eagerly waiting.
The data that you are hearing about.
I can go ahead and give you the in-lock time, so you're ready to copy.
Go.
Start of lock was on data 2504-5346. End of lock is Davia 25050202. The collection continued until 0504 as scheduled. We have HKTM collections throughout the period of collection.
Copy that. Thank you very much.
The data that you're hearing about is data that the Opportunity lander transmitted to the Mars Global Surveyor orbiter in orbit around Mars during the entry, descent, and landing sequence.
Slide MGS Mach. The data are now on the DOM.
This data was then relayed back to Earth.
For data on broadcast V4.
The data was then relayed back to Earth via the Mars Global Surveyor orbiter.
Flight, this is MDOT.
Go MDOT.
You now see the data being processed on broadcast 4.
Copy that. Just a reminder that the red alarms are expected.
Flight Telecom UHF.
Go UHF.
Flight, according to the HKTM data, we had lock at U8 on MGS for about 512 seconds. Flight, that is consistent with the data size, the data file size that we got from Mach.
This data that will be that was transmitted back to Earth by the Mars Global Surveyor orbiter from the Opportunity lander will be used by the entry, descent, landing team to reconstruct the details of what occurred during the sequence. However, because we appear to have a live lander on the surface of Mars, this data probably will not reveal anything dangerous.
All stations, this is Flight. We'll be going through and doing a post-landing poll in approximately 5 minutes. Please start up your queries and be ready in, we'll do the poll at 05:35.
Flight.
That's UHF, right?
It's pretty clear that we've been on the low pedal low gain antenna, which the signal is very weak on.
Is it really?
Chris, what can you tell us?
Flight, I think that's it for the direct to Earth link.
We started seeing the first indications of.
I think we're going to start looking at MGS data now.
The first indications of the atmosphere shortly after entry, when we began seeing the tones indicating the acceleration of the craft as it moved into the upper atmosphere.
We have the data,
we also
and
saw
the parsing scripts are running.
Indication is at the expected time of the parachute deploying, the heat shield separation.
The direct Earth signal from the Opportunity lander has been lost. However, this is not unexpected, as that we've been transmitting on the pedal low gain antenna. That's a very weak way to transmit to the Earth.
Okay, so Wayne apparently
However, we have every
is breaking some of these things down. Let's go ahead and listen to him just for a sec.
This one here crapped out by the time I get this one.
Please stand by for our mission.
Flight MGS Mach.
MGS Mach, go.
We've taken a closer look at the data. It looks clean. We should not have any differences between this version and the playback queries happening in about an hour. We'll still go ahead and proceed with those, but there should be no change.
Copy that. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Mars again. We're going to stand down at this point if you don't need us anymore.
Thank you very much for your support.
It was a pleasure.
Flight Telecom.
Go Telecom.
Do you remember on MER A when we landed, we had a funny on channel 4053, which is the IMU temperature sensor?
Yeah, we're going to have that same funny.
We apparently have
So
the same
Chris,
funny
once again, can you help us kind of wrap things up and tell us exactly how things played out tonight?
Well, you know, the craft, the engineers looking at the subsystem data prior to entry gave it a clean bill of health going in. And the indications from the tones after it was on the surface indicated that there were no faults seen by the craft. It landed with a impact of somewhere between 2 and 3 Gs, which is a remarkably light landing. This system was qualified for 40 Gs, and so it probably barely noticed that it hit anything. It took a while to roll out. This is a very flat area of Mars, and so that wasn't totally unexpected. So far, so good. You know, we keep telling people how difficult this is to do. Now we've done 2 of these, and it's gone right down the middle of the road. But believe me, it is difficult, and the credit goes to the team of engineers on the other side of the glass wall here, who have worked so hard over the last 3 years to perfect this system to do this nearly impossible task.
Now, earlier on, they mentioned that they thought it was base pedal down, and then they mentioned it was plus Y pedal down. Can you explain?
I think yes, I think the confusion there was that there's a tone that is transmitted long after the system is on the ground that indicates what side of the system hit the ground first. That was the plus Y pedal indication.
That's coming to the conclusion that the signal that we're quickly coming to the conclusion that this was not rolling and that we were not rolling this whole duration. And what we're seeing is the antenna is actually pointed roughly toward Earth. We're on our side. The antenna signal is bouncing off the surface of Mars and as well as going to Mars. So we get interference multipath. And we're getting multipath as the Earth is setting in the west. The signal is interfering, is beating, and we're seeing a stationary vehicle that's simply not moving at all. It's just Earth is the one that's moving, and we get this multipath effect. So I don't think we've been rolling that along, and I'm happy. We're definitely side down.
So we're side down.
Yes, that seems to be the conclusion. Sure.
How long would it take for the rover to right itself up?
Well, part of the deployment activities that occur after the airbags are retracted is to sense which way is up on Mars, and then to open the pedals in such an order that the base pedal ends up on the surface when all is said and done. That sequence takes a matter of minutes. This is a critical deployment, so we don't try to rush it. But it is important to get through that stage so that we can then open up the solar panels. And even though we're in the middle of the afternoon and the sun will be setting in a few hours, we do want to get the panels open so that when the sun rises in the morning, we can begin recharging the rover batteries.
But we do have a little bit more wiggle room this go-round because we're landing at Meridiani a little bit earlier in the day, so we have sunlight a little bit longer.
That's right. It was about 1:30 in the afternoon when we landed on Mars, and so we have most of the afternoon left. One of the reports that we got not too long ago was that the MGS data, data collected by the Mars Global Surveyor as it flew overhead while Opportunity was descending through the atmosphere, that the MGS data is in-house here and they'll begin processing it right away. Not only is it important to know that what the data tells us about entry, descent, and landing, but it's our first indication that the UHF transmitter is working on the rover. And of course we're going to rely on that, as we do on Spirit, to do the heavy lifting of getting the data back to Earth during the science mission that Opportunity has ahead of it.
Now, the fact that it didn't land base pedal down as Spirit had, will that mean that the critical deployments will take longer, it will take longer to retract the airbags, and we may not be able to have all the critical deployments done in time so that we might be able to get some images like we got during the Odyssey Pass last time?
No, the timeline is established in such a way that for the worst case landing configuration, there's always enough time to open the system up and get the panels deployed. Those are the critical deployments before we say goodnight. And so I don't believe that will hinder the taking of those first images. That we would, if everything works right, we would get back here about 1 o'clock the next morning. One of the things that I will do as soon as we break here is get a timeline of the expected activities, and maybe we can share those with the listeners between now and 1 o'clock.
Okay. So aside from perhaps doing a poll, what is there left to do?
Well, breathe a sigh of relief, I suppose. Some of these people are part of the Spirit team. And as you know, we're working issues with Spirit.
That's right.
And so now that we've got Opportunity safely on the surface, they will turn their attentions back to Spirit in an effort to recover full functionality of that system and get it back into doing geology. The team that will step in behind them on Opportunity will focus on the phase we call impact to egress, ITE.
Okay, all stations, we're going to
and
go
that's
through
all
and do
about
the post-landing
getting the
poll at this
vehicle
time.
ready to drive off
Power?
its landed surface.
Can I get your current
And as you recall from Spirit, that took a little longer than we had planned because of airbags being in the way and the like. That may not be the case here, or it may repeat itself, and so we'll just have to wait and see.
Earlier today, Pete Teisinger had indicated that they may go slower on ITE or impact to egress this go-round as well.
Yes, it all depends on what the situation looks like when they get those first panorama images to see where we would want to drive off. The other thing, of course, is that we are focusing a lot of effort on Spirit, and we don't want to shortchange that recovery effort. The nature of ITE is that we can go as slow as we want. We can work on it for a couple of days, stop at a safe place, and take a day off. The engineers will like that, and then devote all our attention onto Spirit. And between the two, optimize our energies to get them both on the surface.
All right, so best case scenario yet again.
I can't believe it.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, there you have it. Opportunity would not be outdone by its sibling, Spirit. It did a perfect or near perfect entry, descent, and landing. It has indeed landed at Meridiani. It has apparently landed side pedal down, but strong signal all the way in, no fault tones whatsoever, and it has already given the Mars Global Surveyor some data, and they are looking over that data at this point. So At this point now, there are 2 rovers on the surface of Mars at opposite ends, Spirit and Opportunity. Congratulations to the flight team. And we'd like to remind you that we will have a press conference at 10:30 p.m. Pacific time, followed by more commentary at 12:45, at which time we hope to have information from the Odyssey Pass. Thanks for joining us.
Times produce a valid solution. The current velocity, which is the velocity measure, the velocity of the lander at the moment of right fire, was 10 meters per second.